So we've shown how we can describe relationships of different strengths between accuracy and confidence. Which of these relationships between accuracy and confidence is true? Well, criminal justice professionals and lay people estimate the relationship to be about 0.7, according to a study by Gary Wells of the University of Alberta. Is that the reality? Well, not according to Robert Bothwell and colleagues from Florida State University, who used a meta-analysis to combine the findings of 35 behavioral studies to estimate this. Their estimate came in at 0.25. So, not zero, but a much weaker relationship than the professionals and lay people believed, where there's a huge amount of overlap between the confidence levels of the accurate and inaccurate eyewitnesses. This essentially means that in practice, an individual eyewitness's confidence shouldn't really be used to judge their accuracy. Here's what leading eyewitness memory researcher Elizabeth Loftus has to say on the matter, linking back to our previous discussion of false memories.
Okay, but surely if I'm really confident about my belief or my recollection, and it's really sincere and really emotional, surely that means it's more likely to be an accurate memory.
Well, it may be slightly more likely to be an accurate memory if you're really confident about it. But confidence is not a good indicator that your memory is accurate, because false memories can be expressed with a lot of confidence, they can be expressed with a lot of detail, they can be expressed with a lot of emotion, and so they have the same characteristics as true memories. And just relying on those characteristics can mislead people into thinking that something is real when it's not.
So, overall, confidence appears to be problematic when used as a marker of an eyewitness's accuracy. But, and it's a big but, Bothwell's 0.25 correlation is the overall correlation across lots of different outcomes and situations. Is it the case that this correlation stays the same under all circumstances? Well, the answer is no. And that's why the truth of this confidence-accuracy relationship has turned out to be rather more complex than was originally thought. For a start, Robert Bothwell found that the correlation increased if the eyewitness had viewed the perpetrator for a longer duration. So, while it might be considered common sense that an eyewitness's identification accuracy would improve the longer they viewed the perpetrator, it's also the case that the degree to which their level of confidence becomes a reliable indicator of their accuracy also improves the longer they view the perpetrator. Let's look at another variable, whether the eyewitness actually identified the suspect or not. So they can either identify the suspect as being the criminal, or they can reject them as not being the criminal. Siegfried Sporrer of the University of Aberdeen and colleagues found that the extent to which eyewitness confidence predicted their level of accuracy depended on what the outcome was. When eyewitnesses didn't identify the suspect as being the criminal, the correlation between confidence and accuracy dropped to 0.1, virtually zero. That means the eyewitness's confidence in this case tells us pretty much nothing about whether they're right or wrong. However, when the eyewitness did identify the suspect as being the criminal, the correlation coefficient rose to 0.4. That means the eyewitness's confidence in this case does offer some information about whether they're right or wrong. Lots of other factors have also been found to affect the extent to which confidence predicts accuracy. One example is the extent to which an innocent suspect and the criminal look similar. Another influencing factor is the age of the eyewitness. For instance, child witnesses' confidence tells us very little about accuracy compared with adult witnesses. However, maybe we can control or screen for all of these sorts of things, and then perhaps we can get something useful out of eyewitness confidence. Well, there is one further big problem with eyewitness confidence, especially in a trial setting, which is that it can be changed. It can be manipulated with scary ease. For example, if I wanted to make the eyewitness more confident All I need to do is provide some encouraging feedback after, say, the lineup. Something like, "Ah, good, you identified the suspect," or "Excellent, that's who the other eyewitnesses identified too." If I wanted to make the eyewitness less confident, all I need to do is provide feedback implying that they may have made the wrong choice. I could even provide indirect feedback, not about their decision, but about whether an easy ID is expected or not under the circumstances. For example, I could say, "Ah, you must have got a pretty clear view of the criminal from where you were," or, "Ah, I realise it must be tricky to identify the criminal under those sorts of circumstances." It's not hard to imagine these sorts of interventions occurring in a real-life criminal justice situation without even any deliberate intent on the part of the manipulator. And it's been found that you can even influence whether an eyewitness is willing to testify at all or not by this sort of influence. Overall, these factors come together so that when we get to the courtroom, it's clear that it would be potentially very dangerous to rely on the eyewitness's level of confidence in order to determine whether or not to believe them. However, is this really the best we can expect of confidence as an indicator of eyewitness accuracy? In the next presentation, we'll look at the work of one research team who have argued that we can do better if we can find the right circumstances and find the right techniques.